Welcome to Voices in My Head on Page and Playback.
Yeah, we are just a couple of the characters living inside the mind of Manda Menzies.
Exactly. A South African author, poet, lyricist, and, well, storyteller.
She has quite a few voices echoing around up there, actually.
She really does. And we have finally found a way to sort of pop out and visit with you today.
It is lovely to be here.
So today we are exploring the stories told in the Wellspring periodicals. Specifically, we are looking at Chapter 2 of a narrative simply titled Ella.
Right, and it is this beautifully evocative slice of life story. It completely refuses to give us some grand sweeping backdrop,
I mean, that is the charm of it.
It is. The entire premise relies on finding poetry in the profoundly mundane.
I want to paint this picture meticulously for you because the source text gives us such a specific, grounded physical reality for this chapter.
The setting is crucial here.
It really is. We find ourselves in a rural agricultural town. It is an arid farming region, so if you picture a stark, incredibly rugged landscape, you have the right idea.
Dust everywhere, harsh sun.
Exactly. And our setting is the local agricultural supply store, the co-op. It sits high on a hill overlooking two massive irrigation dams that just sort of cling to the foothills.
Which makes it this ultimate functional space, right? It is a watering hole of sorts.
A very literal one for the machinery.
Yes, exactly. You have farmers coming in covered in dust to buy heavy machinery parts, load up on fertilizer, fill massive diesel tanks. It is all hard labor.
But the environment completely contrasts with what has just been added to the property.
Oh, the upgrade.
The upgrade. The text notes this recent renovation. So the parking area is newly paved, and right in the middle of this rough, working-class agricultural hub, there's a brand new, chic coffee shop.
It is such a brilliant juxtaposition.
It is. You suddenly have these tough farmers fresh from the fields, sweating, standing in the back of their farm vehicles, holding cups of gourmet coffee.
Oh, I love that image.
Right. The air smells like this bizarre collision of freshly roasted espresso beans and raw diesel exhaust.
That physical intersection is doing incredible work for the narrative, I think.
How so?
Well, you have the hard, uncompromising labor of the land pressing right up against a modern space carved out for quiet reflection.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and there are kids' play areas keeping toddlers safely away from the heavy machinery. It creates this transitional zone where people pause between here and there to order their thoughts.
Which perfectly primes the characters for a chance encounter that completely disrupts their morning.
It really does.
So our protagonist, Ella, is wandering the aisles of the supply store when she spots a little boy in the birdseed section.
He's about 4 years old, right?
Yes, a 4-year-old boy. And he is in a state of absolute agonizing distress.
Poor thing.
His tiny eyebrows are drawn together, his fists are clenched white, and he is leaning in, staring intently at this tiny wire display cage on the shelf.
And inside the cage?
Inside is a common sparrow, just hopping frantically from one side to the other.
Which, through a 4-year-old's eyes, is an inexplicable tragedy.
Absolutely. There are actual tears running down his cheeks as he processes the cruelty of it.
It is heartbreaking.
So Ella walks up to him, and the little boy looks up and asks this incredibly piercing, innocent question.
They're so good at those.
They really are. He points at the display and says, "Why do people put birds in cages? How is the bird going to get to its nest? It cannot fly."
With his little bottom lip quivering, I imagine.
Exactly. And Ella, she does not miss a beat. She looks at the bird, looks at the boy, and says, "I do not know. I do not understand it either. Do you think we should help it?"
The beauty of her response is just the sheer honesty of it.
She does not talk down to him at all.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't offer some convoluted adult rationalization about store merchandise or, inventory management. She meets his raw empathy with complete validation.
I love that as a reader, but if we look at the reality of that moment, she is essentially ignoring all societal boundaries.
Oh, completely.
She validates the child, and then she immediately takes action to remove store property.
But the execution of that removal is what makes her character so compelling.
It is brilliant. So Ella tells the boy to wait. She marches straight over to the store manager's office.
Just marches right in.
Marches right in. The manager is sitting behind a glass partition, and he is actively on the phone with a supplier.
Right. He is busy.
Very busy. The phone is wedged tightly between his ear and his shoulder.
Yeah.
And he is scribbling notes on a pad.
And Ella.
Ella just walks in, physically takes the pen right out of his hand, and writes a note on his desk.
I mean, the audacity.
I know. The manager frowns, reads her note upside down, gives her a quick thumbs up, and keeps right on talking.
That is amazing.
Ella smiles, walks out, grabs the birdcage, and leaves.
She essentially hotwires the social circuitry of the entire establishment.
That is the perfect way to describe it. She cuts the wires of adult bureaucracy to directly power up a solution for a crying child.
Yes, exactly.
But doesn't this highlight a massive contradiction in how she operates?
How do you mean?
Well, she is deeply, profoundly sensitive to this 4-year-old's emotional crisis. But she is completely blunt and transactional with the store manager. She literally steals his pen mid-sentence.
I think it is less of a contradiction and more of a strict hierarchy of priorities.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Ella assesses the situation and decides that the pure distress of a vulnerable child supersedes the tedious social conventions of polite adult interruption.
That makes sense.
The child looks at the cage and sees captivity. The adults walking down the aisle just see inventory.
Right.
So Ella recognizes the child's moral clarity, and she uses her adult agency to bypass the rules and set things right.
Which forces them out of the artificial space of the store and into the real world.
Right, the rescue mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ella grabs the cage and locates the boy's father, a tall, dark-haired man who is busy browsing irrigation supplies.
And she introduces herself to the kid as the bird lady.
She does, and she promises the dad she isn't a kidnapper. He laughs, and she asks to borrow his son just to go outside the automatic glass sliding doors.
Stepping through those doors shifts the tone entirely.
It really does.
They are leaving the manufactured environment and returning the bird to the natural landscape.
They step out into the bright light. Ella crouches down on the pavement, the little boy standing stiff with anticipation right beside her.
Building the tension?
She opens the wire door, carefully cups her hand over the sparrow so it won't panic and hurt itself, and brings it out.
And the dad is there too, right?
Yes, the father has followed them. He is crouching down with his hand on his son's shoulder.
It is such a tender family moment that a stranger has orchestrated.
Exactly. Ella shows the boy the bird's dark eyes, letting him gently touch the feathers for a fraction of a second. Then she opens her hand.
And the bird?
The sparrow hesitates for a heartbeat, and with a sudden burst of wings, it shoots up into the sky until it's just a speck.
The physical release of the bird mirrors the emotional release of the child perfectly.
Oh, he completely loses his mind with joy.
I can imagine.
He throws his arms around Ella's neck, laughing and shouting, "We saved him! We saved him!"
And the father is watching this unfold, observing these two laughing souls sharing this incredibly intense, triumphant moment.
The text specifically notes that he suddenly wishes the moment would never end.
Which is quite a profound thought to have about a stranger.
It really is.
Yeah.
It prompts him to ask the bird lady out for a cup of coffee at that chic new cafe in the parking area.
But Ella's initial reaction to the invitation is very telling, isn't it?
She hesitates.
She does.
She looks up at the sky where the sparrow vanished. When the father asks if she has the time, she offers a rather philosophical reply.
What did she say?
She says time is a precious thing, not to be purchased and never on sale. But she acknowledges that he just used a few moments of his own time to give his child a priceless smile.
Wow.
Right. On those grounds, she agrees to the coffee.
So they transition from the adrenaline-fueled rescue mission to the quiet intimacy of a shared table.
The dynamic shifts entirely from action to observation. They find a table near the children's play area. Ella orders a latte with sweetener. When she asks the boy what he wants to drink, this 4-year-old just deadpans, "I want water, please."
Which is brilliant.
Ella is visibly surprised. She is wondering what kind of child chooses plain water at a cafe with a menu full of treats.
And his reasoning is so poetic.
It is. He simply replies, "It tastes like rain. I like it when it rains."
That single line of dialogue holds so much weight in the context of an arid agricultural region.
The father chuckles and explains that rain is an incredibly rare, precious commodity there.
Right, they rely on those big irrigation dams you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. When the little boy discovered you could actually buy rain in a bottle at a shop, he abandoned sugary drinks entirely.
That is so endearing.
The father goes on to explain that his son operates on a very literal vocabulary. In this boy's world, fruit juice is referred to as little bags, great bags, berry bags.
Because of the packaging.
Yes. And milk is universally known as cow juice.
Cow juice is perfectly logical when you look at it through an unfiltered lens.
I look at this child's perspective, like a clean operating system.
Oh, that is a good way to put it.
He has not downloaded all the complicated cultural software or the marketing jargon yet. He names reality exactly as he experiences it physically.
Milk comes from a cow. It is a liquid. Therefore, It is cow juice.
Exactly. It makes you wonder when you last allowed yourself to experience the world without layering 50 levels of adult context over every single interaction.
And that unfiltered logic is exactly why this interaction resonates so deeply with the adults.
Yes, the father explains that from his son's perspective, a thing must inherently make sense, or the boy will push and pull at that reality until it suits him.
Which leads him to compliment Ella.
He does. He looks across the table and says he is thinking about people who speak their truths and do not hide behind social norms.
He's explicitly comparing Ella's behavior in the store to his 4-year-old's worldview.
He means it as profound praise.
He recognizes that Ella bypassed the social norm of ignoring the crying child and the norm of waiting politely for the store manager.
Right. She acted on the literal truth of the situation, just like a child asking for rain in a glass.
And Ella's response is a rare moment of complete vulnerability for her.
It really is. She admits that it is easy to communicate with the little boy because he simply says what he thinks.
And then she drops the real confession.
She confesses that she actively avoids communicating with most people because the effort required to figure out what they really mean is exhausting.
The child's innocent honesty acts as a bridge for the two adults.
It is like they don't have to navigate the usual tedious small talk about the weather or the local news.
The child has set a baseline of absolute, literal honesty, and the adults feel compelled to meet it.
This shared honesty pushes them to open up about their lives. Ella mentions she lives in a house at the very end of a street, right by the river, where she spends her time painting and writing.
And the father recognizes the house.
He explains that his own life is split down the middle, 1 foot in a town office and 1 foot on his father's farm just outside of town.
He helps his dad, who is nearing retirement, but refuses to stop working.
Because the farm is his center of the universe.
It paints a portrait of a man heavily burdened by responsibility, legacy, and duty.
And this is where the conversation hits a massive, jarring snag.
The tone shifts completely.
Ella casually asks what he does in his town office.
A normal question.
The father replies that he is a lawyer. And the text describes a sudden, visceral shift in his entire demeanor.
He completely closes off.
He looks down, and Ella notices his hands are suddenly clenched tight, the knuckles white. The easy atmosphere just vanishes.
He apologizes, his voice tight, and admits he got lost in his past for a moment.
The real world, with all its messy, unresolved adult baggage, crashes straight into this idyllic morning.
I find this reaction so fascinating because it completely shatters the free spirit dynamic they were just celebrating.
Totally. They spent the last 20 minutes bonding over being open, honest, and unburdened by social norms.
But the absolute second that real-life history surfaces the mere mention of his career and whatever past pain is attached to it, they both instantly reach for their armor.
The father clenches his fists, and Ella immediately uses humor to deflect the tension.
Right, she jokes that it isn't National Let's Shoot a Lawyer Day and offers a platitude about everyone having a past.
It makes you wonder, is Ella actually as free as that sparrow she just rescued?
You have hit on the central irony of the entire chapter there.
Have I?
Definitely. We start with a bird trapped in a physical wire cage, and we end with two adults trapped in invisible cages of their own making.
Oh, that is so true.
Ella is not free at all. She is heavily fortified.
It feels like a paradox. She is liberated enough to steal a pen from a manager and orchestrate a rescue mission. But the second the man's actual life intrudes on the fantasy, she panics.
Is her empathy just a tightly controlled transaction?
Look at how she described her daily life earlier in the conversation.
When he asks how she makes a living?
Yes, she jokes that she avoids people as much as possible. She explains her concept of scoring time. By strictly avoiding human interaction, she conserves her energy to channel into her painting and writing.
She lives at the physical end of the road by the river, as far away from the center of town as geography allows.
Her boundaries are impenetrable walls.
Her empathy is profound, but she heavily rations it.
She can give everything she has to a crying child over a caged bird for 20 minutes.
But she is terrified of sustaining that openness with the complex adult world.
Her avoidance is a necessary defense, really. She admitted that deciphering people is exhausting.
She is fiercely observant, taking in the granular details of the world, but that same sensitivity means the noise and the unspoken subtext of human relationships are entirely overwhelming to her.
The physical manifestation of this retreat happens the second the coffee date concludes.
It is jarring how rapidly the walls go back up.
She finishes her drink, says a quick goodbye to the kid who hugs her legs one last time, thanking the bird lady.
And the father walks her to the cafe door.
He holds her hand for a brief moment, thanks her for her time, and tells her to enjoy her day.
And Ella?
Ella gives him a quick handshake, flashes a smile, and practically jogs to her car.
It is a full-blown retreat to safety.
The text details the immediate aftermath of her escape. She gets into her car and is hit by an insurmountable craving for a cigarette.
Her nerves are shot.
Completely. She feels a desperate, urgent need to call a character named Rhea just to process the events of the morning.
She needs an anchor.
She drives straight to the local butchery, buys ground beef, and completely ignores the chatty shop owner.
She is so lost in her own thoughts, she just shuts the entire town right back out.
This creates a perfect, closed narrative loop.
It really does. Ella stepped out of her deliberate isolation to perform an incredible act of grace for a trapped creature.
She allowed herself to be vulnerable for the duration of a single cup of coffee.
But the moment the intimacy threatened to become real,
The moment his past intruded and demanded actual emotional labor, she fled back to the safety of her solitude.
it leaves you with a profound realization about human behavior.
We often use performative acts of extreme empathy, like rescuing a helpless animal, to trick ourselves into feeling deeply connected to the world.
We do it precisely so we do not have to do the much harder, messier work of connecting with the flawed, complex humans sitting right across the table from us.
It is entirely easier to walk into a store, open a wire door, and free a bird from a physical cage than it is to dismantle the defenses we build to protect ourselves.
Our pasts, our anxieties, our deliberate isolation, these are cages built with invisible locks.
We watched Ella flawlessly rescue a frightened sparrow today. She was the hero.
She was.
But looking at how fast she retreated to her quiet house by the river, ignoring the rest of the world, the second things got real, you have to wonder, who or what is going to come along to rescue Ella?
That remains the true mystery of the narrative.
That brings us to the end of this chapter's journey. In the next episode of Voices in My Head, the next chapter of Ella will follow.
We hope you join us.
Please visit, subscribe, like, share, and support the independent creative storyteller behind all of this, Amanda Menzies. We will see you next time.